What's going on, guys? So in this video, what I'm going to be doing is going over how to identify and how I identify key support and resistance levels when trading stocks. Now, the key about this is it's going to actually apply to both swing trading and day trading. So if you're someone who is, restricted by the PDT rule, there's many ways I've kind of made a video going about how you can kind of get around it. There's a couple different ways you can do it. But at the end of the day, if you're not someone who's going to be consistently day trading and swing trading works better for you, you can't sit in front of a computer for an extended period of time. Well, this is going to work just the same way, and I actually am going to be sharing how I've been able to grow my account a couple 100% in the past couple months, my small swing trading account, using these same strategies and identifying support and resistance levels when swing trading to kind of solidify my entries and exits when I enter a trade, when I get out of a trade, how I take profit. So we're going to go over that, how I identify these levels, and then how I'm actually applying that to entries and exits on certain trades. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into my computer, we're going to actually go over our platforms, we're going to go over the candlesticks, we're going to go over all the indicators I use briefly, and then we'll get really quickly into the actual identifying of the support and resistance, which I find easier to identify with certain candlestick patterns and also certain indicators. So quick, when it comes to platforms, I would recommend two platforms I'd recommend right off the bat would be Webull, and I would also recommend a TD Ameritrade's Thinkorswim. Now, if you're going to be someone who's actively day trading, there have been issues with Thinkorswim going down, and so if you really want the most reliable platform, it's probably going to be E-Trade Pro. You do have to pay for that, and there's other brokers out there that you do also have to pay additional monthly fees for. So I wouldn't recommend that until you get to that level. But if you want a free platform, Webull and TD Ameritrade Thinkorswim, completely free. And the best thing about Webull, I would say for me, is I use it for my swing trading, and I also have a link down below to get 2 free stocks. We deposit $100. So you deposit $100, you get a free stock value, 2 free stocks, and one's valued up to $1,400, which is pretty cool. So that's why you can take advantage of those offers and take advantage of those platforms. That's why I would recommend them. But those platforms aside, now let's jump into, you can really use this with any platform. Let's jump into the video. You can get these indicators on those platforms and others. If you pay for other platforms, E-Trade Pro, I'm sure there's others. If you have any questions, again, leave them down below. But let's jump into my computer, show you guys the candlestick patterns I am using, and get into some examples. Okay, so now we're inside the computer, and here we are on TD Ameritrade's Thinkorswim. I'm going to use this platform to kind of go over the examples. I just find it easier. I actually was just trading on this platform a few minutes ago, so I think it's easier for me to use right now. But what you can do is you can go to all the indicators, you can add all different styles and different things and studies and stuff. That's going to be up here. I have 2 basic studies. I have a day trade study and I have a swing trade study. We'll go into those studies, and that's where the indicators are going to show up. So in both, what I have is MACD and RSI, pretty standard, just the basics. You literally load them in. I didn't change them in any way. You can see I kind of have the numbers here for whatever that helps on those things. And then what I have here is a daily chart. So we're going to go over different charts. There's daily charts, there's hourly, there's 5-minute, there's 1-minute, there's all these different things you can customize when it comes to your charting. But really quick, on the daily chart, so what I have here is a day trade study set up. Now I can use this I generally use this for day trading. And why do I use this for day trading? Well, because I have a couple indicators here. I have, we can actually zoom this into the actual 1 day, 1 minute to see these indicators a little better. It's kind of tough. But I have this light blue line, 10 EMA, 10 period exponential moving average. The blue is the 25 period exponential moving average. Then you have the red, the 50, the green is the 200, and then the white is the VWAP, volume weighted average price. That's what I use when it comes to my indicators for day trading. And so let's just find an example. I know Pixie was just running up a little bit ago. So what would I do for an example like this? So we can kind of see, okay, the 10 is going to fall pretty close when there's a lot of volume, right? The volume weighted average price is going to kind of move up, right? And then we can kind of see, I use these as kind of support and resistance levels. So if we fall back to the 200 EMA, that's probably a strong support area. Okay, that's just generally how I'm going to use these indicators on that 1 day, 1 minute chart. Now, the reason why I was showing you the daily chart, the 1 year, 1 day chart, well, it's because we can zoom out here on Pixie. So what do we see here on this chart? Well, I have these lines drawn in is because I'm showing areas of support and resistance or resistance. Why is that? Well, because what happens with a lot of these penny stocks, at least some of these stocks I play, and this could be a set to any different stock you want to talk about. This is just an example of a penny stock play. And so when they get news, you have these spikes. And so when there's PR press releases, right, you'll get these spikes. And so you can look to these spikes to see where it went up to and where it came down. So where could it not break past? And if you can find those areas, well, that's an area of resistance. So if we know, for example, that Pixie has spiked up to this level right here, right? We have a spike up to about $27 or $28. Well, I drew that red line, and so if we ever get to that level during the day, I know that's an area, right, that I want to watch and I want to be paying attention to as a resistance area on the chart that I would like to sell at, or if it breaks through, that could be an area of a breakout buy that you'd want to look into. And so we'll talk more about that here as we get going. So what's next? So we have some other areas that I draw in here, and we have this other line right here. And so why did I draw this line now? It's not perfect as of right now because I was trading this a while ago. Well, this red line just so happened to line up with this peak right here, and this green line is the 200 exponential moving average. Now it's on the daily chart. That is also an area that tends to be an area of resistance when you're trading stocks, especially penny stocks, the stocks, low float stocks that I like to trade in this example, because they generally are stocks that are downtrending and then they get new spikes to spike up. And so the question is going to be, how high can they spike? Where do they go? And things like that. And that's kind of the idea behind this play and behind these this charting method. So that's kind of that understanding. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, what do I do for more swing trades? Because this is day trades, and you can kind of see what I'm doing. And on this is the day chart, the daily chart. So on the 1 day, 1 minute chart, well, we can kind of see the same idea. Now, Pixie, not a perfect example of a prime runner for the day. I can kind of show you guys one more. ABIO is one that's actually running right now. Look, we just hit a new high. I was actually looking to get into this guy earlier, didn't make the move, and then it made a new high. So what are we looking at here? So it ran up, okay? It was holding this 10 EMA for a little bit, then it cracked, okay? Then it cracked the 10, it cracked through the 25, and then what happened was this 50 EMA was generally, so what happens is the 10 and 25 are kind of like partners in crime in a sense from my experience, and then once it cracks the 10 and 25, then your next area is going to be that 50 for a support level, right? And so this is on a day trade time scale, so this could be with any other stock you want to look at, but especially the stocks that I trade. Now, this is an example right here. It held up on this 50, period exponential moving average, right? And if it were to crack that, then you're looking at this 20, the 200 as your other area of support. So that's what you're looking at generally with a play like this. But now, why did it break back up? Well, because it got some volume. So we had some volume come in, it broke through the VWAP, it broke through some areas of resistance in the past. Where are those areas, you may ask? Well, where do we come up to? Well, we couldn't break 780 for whatever reason, and so we were kind of coming up, we got close, came back down, and then boom, we broke through 780, and then there you go. Now, one other thing to note is that these candlesticks are going to probably look different than what you may be used to. So why is that? Well, these are because if we go to the style here, you can change this on a lot of platforms, okay? I go to chart type, you can do candle, you can do candle trend. I go with a Heiken Ashi. It's more of like an average. You guys can look up what they actually mean. It's more like an average, I guess, of the price and where it's going, in that 1 minute time frame. So right now I'm looking at a 1 minute chart. So each of these candles are 1 minute time frames, and so it's kind of a good indicator, at least for me, as to see trends, to see what the average is. So it's a lot of times easy to get faked out if we have all of a sudden a market sell or something happens and a quick drop, right? We have a quick wick down. What do I mean by wick down? So you see these little wicks, these little parts, the candlestick that kind of wick down? Well, that can happen all the time, right? Same with the wick up, right? We can wick up really quick and then come right back down. This is going to be more of an average, so it's good for like trends. If you're trying to ride a trend, like for example, right now, this 10 EMA is looking like a solid support for a day trade. So if I was to enter right now, I'm actually looking at this right now as a potential entry at the break of 850, right? I look for the break of 850 here as a breakout. Here it comes. Let's see if we get it. It may not break, but if it does break, then where's my area of support? Where am I looking to potentially cut my losses? Well, I would cut my losses here at this line. So if it breaks, if it cracks below that 10 EMA, that's an area of support. It's not holding anymore. It's going to crack. Boom, I'm out. And so this is a good trend that we're seeing with these solid body candles. I like it. It looks pretty good to me. And so that would be kind of my thought process on a day trade right there. So I would look into 850. I would also take a look back. I would look back at the 1 year, 1 day. What do we see here? Where are we looking at? What are areas of past, support and resistance? Okay, so 850 is getting up there. 850 would, if we break 850, we're talking about the high on the daily chart is, 888. So, and then we can probably look to the weekly chart if you really want to keep zooming out 3 year weeks. So we can look at this, and this stock has been downtrending. So there's some other wicks up you can probably look to as well. But that's kind of a general basis as to how you would kind of go about a day trade here. Now, day trade's cool, but most people, many people can't actually day trade. So how do you go about that the next way? Well, we can look to swing trading and swing trade entries. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go into my studies. I'm going to pull up the swing trade study set. Now, on the right-hand side, guys, I have time and sales. I have a little bit of level 2. I have news here. I have the active trader. So if I want to make an active trade, I can do that all right here. It's just kind of the way that I like to set it up, and it works for me. So Now we have this stock here. We're looking at my swing trade study set. So I'm going to pull a different stock up in a second because it's an actual active swing. At the time you're seeing the video, it may not be an active swing, so make sure just understand that. But when I look for swing trade entries, I like to look at the 1 year, 1 day. Now you guys can take a look at all these different chart setups, these time frames, 184 hour, 20 day, 1 hour. It's gonna be up to you and your relative thoughts. So it's all relative. You guys can mold this however you want, but I'm just giving you guys some of the things I look for in some areas that I found to be pretty strong, areas of support and resistance and things that I found that have worked for me in it, right? So ABIO is a play that we're now running up. We're up here. We can't see that because this is the daily chart, so it's actually not going to show you the after hours. So we're pre-market right now. It's actually just before the open. It's 9:18 a.m. So we're not going to be able to see that. So it's fine. Eventually we'll see a candlestick up here, but this chart right here, so we're looking at it and we're saying, hey, what are these lines? Well, this red line, we can actually see this red line right here is going to be my exponential, my 200 exponential moving average. So this red line is essentially the green line on my day trade study set. Okay, same thing. Then this green line here is going to be the 50 period simple moving average, or 50 MA or 50 SMA, okay, when you're looking at the indicators, okay? So the simple moving average, and what do I like with the simple moving average? I like generally stocks that have broken above the simple moving average and come down and use it as support. That's what it is. So when you're below it, it's an area of resistance. When you're above it, it's an area of support. So how do we know that? How do we see that? Well, every stock is different. Trading is an art. It's not an exact science. So for example, we were down below it. We kind of came up to it. We broke through it. Pretty good breakout there. We can see right here. We kind of had a little area right there. Didn't really break it. Came back down. And it was showing an area of resistance. So we couldn't really break above it fully. And then we did. We kind of held above it. And then look, boom, we came back down, boom, up, down, and then boom, broke through. And so it was kind of struggling. Then it really broke through, potentially on earnings. And then it really came back. And then we broke through it again to the upside. And it broke right through. And guess where it stopped? Take a look at this chart, guys. We can take a sec here and see. On the daily chart, we're not really piercing through that 200 EMA, exponential moving average. So what does this tell me? If we pierce through to the upside, that may lead to a pretty big breakout, okay? And so that's what's happening right there. And guess what? Today we're doing it, and look right now. We go back to the 1 day, 1 minute. We have hit 860, so we broke that 850. So now it's going to be interesting to see what happens. It might make a pretty good run up to the next 25-cent level. I'll talk about that here in a second. So back to the daily chart. That's what I look for. Now, what is another example of a swing I'm looking at right now and why I'm in it? TAT. It's actually like oil play. So oil right now, super low, right? We can all agree on that as of right now. I'm filming this video. So what is TAT looking like? Well, what happened was recently, we had the drops in oil. It popped. We had some spikes, some days where it spiked up, began some traction. So this is a low float stock. It's a low price stock. Not going to be your Apple or your Amazon, but this is a stock that I like to trade. So what do we see here? It broke through, and then ever since breaking through, it's kind of been holding up on that 50 SMA, and so that's a good sign. It's showing an area of support for me. I like that. And so what does it tell me? With oil potentially getting a rebound, getting some more traction going forward, holding up this SMA, this is a good chart. This stock looks pretty good. And in addition to that, we can kind of generally look at a trend line, and so we can kind of see a general trend line. We're holding up, going up ever so slightly every single day or so on an average of the past week, couple weeks. And this is showing me an area of potential right here as we're sitting right here, and it's showing it's gotten up to that 200 EMA a couple times, or at least recently it happened right here. And what is that return? Well, if you were in before that, looking at 100% return because of the spike, that's insane. But again, we kind of hit this area. So where am I looking at the next potential here? So if we get some oil traction, we get some oil positive news or something like that, this could make a pretty big spike to that around that 200 EMA, which is going to get a 70%. I'm not taking that 70% return because that's going to be a little bit bold. I would be selling on the way up, but that's showing an area that it may come to in the next couple of days. And so in addition to that, what are some other areas I would look for? Well, if we're in a stock like this, you're kind of holding a strong support right now. We've kind of found a strong support, really holding up around this 20-cent mark right now, or that's your support area. This SMA is holding up right there. Generally, right, it's going to be rough. It might drop just below, might come out just above. It's going to be in that area. Well, now we can look to other past days. So if you're looking for a shorter term, swing trader or shorter term time scale, well, look at this. We had an area, we hit 30 cents. We had, this little spike here, 28 cents. So these daily spikes are other areas of resistance. They're smaller areas of resistance. Now, if we get enough volume, we get enough traction, we can pierce right through them. But they're areas that we haven't been able to pierce through in the past couple weeks where we've struggled to get past them. And so those are areas I'm also looking at as resistance levels, okay? So areas we can't drop below, like we can't seem to drop below 20 cents as of right now, as of the past couple weeks. Seems to be tough. Area of support. We seem to not be able to break through that 28, 30 cent mark as of, we had this one day up here. We seem to be, that's an area we've been struggling to do in the past. So what does that tell me? Area of resistance. So if we get up there, I'll be selling some shares around that level because in case we can't break through, I want to make sure I lock in some profits. So hopefully you guys can start to see the entries and exits, of course, breakouts on the day trade side, even dip buys on the day trade side. And really what it's coming to for the swing trades for me, I like to get in early. I like to get in nice and low, nice and steady, nice and low. And then, enter my position. I can average in, average down as it drops. If it drops below a little bit, if it drops, because it's not, guys, it's an art. It's not an exact science. So if we drop down below or right down to around 20 cents, we're trading right here at 23 cents here on TAT. If we drop to closer to 20 cents, I would average, I'd grab some more, I'd add to my position. And then if we get that spike, if we get that oil spike that we're looking at, that's an area that's something that I'm looking for 100% to be selling into. If we get a spike, we get positive, oil news, or if TAT comes out with their own news, even better. I would be definitely looking to sell into that spike. And that's how I'm looking for my swing trades when it comes to these penny stocks or low float stocks. It's really kind of what it is, but it can apply to any stock. And so if you want to learn more as to how I've been growing my Webull account, 300+% over the past couple months. I'm doing those, making videos on all my plays, my swing trades, everything, what I'm learning, my entries, my exits, holding everything, every single Saturday. So on Saturday, I go over my past week, what I played, what I made, and then what I'm holding to next week. And so I'm averaging, a little bit over a 5% return the past couple weeks, every single week. And so it's starting to, grow the account pretty nicely. So make sure you're subscribed for those videos. I'm making those every Saturday, like I said. On top of that, guys, Webull down below, you're gonna link down below. I have videos going over the platform, everything. You can actually get 2 free stocks. Again, that second free stock when you deposit $100, up to $1,400. So check out that if you want. Make sure you're subscribed. I'm posting Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday here on the channel. That being said, hopefully this video helped you guys out. Appreciate a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one.